Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Reading, our Sunday morning worship. My name is Rob Craig Coleman and my pronouns are he and him. We welcome you here today as we join together to create a space where we nurture and explore individual spirituality, build a committed and loving community, and help heal our world. If this is your first time with us, we're so happy that you have joined us. Please visit our webpage, uureading.org, to learn more about our beloved community. For those joining us online, you can also use the webpage to contact or to connect with our staff. For those of you here with us in the sanctuary this morning, please speak with anyone involved in the worship service. And also join with us after the service for social hour in Fellowship Hall, which is down the ramp to my right. Today, we also welcome you here as we seek to create a space for healing and recovery as we move forward into a new national environment. So I invite you to take a breath, settle in, allow yourself to be here now with your whole self. In that spirit, let us center our hearts and our minds and our spirits as we worship together.
Thank you, Rob. Good morning. My name is Reverend Laura Solomon. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I am the minister here at UUCR, and every week I remind you that it is a privilege to serve this community and the world with you. That statement could not be any more true than it is this week. Our Unitarian Universalist heritage reminds us that we exist within a history of heretics and rebels, justice seekers, and all who side with love. While we have not faced this moment before, history reminds us that our power resides in being together, by acting and organizing and moving forward boldly and with love. And so we gather this morning not because of our fear, but in spite of our fear, because we know that we are better together. We gather alongside our rage because we know that energy is vital and welcome and needed here. We gather with tears and sadness and despair because we know that our tears fuel our forward motion and that feeling our despair is a holy acknowledgement of our humanity. Some of us might bring hope and energy for action. Some of us might bring exhaustion from years of this fight and so many others. Whether hopeful or hopeless, we welcome your energy into this space because we know one another to be human, and we know our liberation and our survival is bound up together. In that spirit of love and community, will you please turn and greet your neighbor?
good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for your energy and love. I can feel it boiling over into our space. Each week, we light our flaming chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. The flaming chalice was first used by the Unitarian Service Committee during World War II as a symbol of life-saving refuge for people fleeing persecution in Europe. The chalice was a stamp, a drawing, a symbol drawn in the dirt outside of homes to assure people were in good hands as they traveled to safety. It is in the spirit of those who came before us who were called to put their lives at risk to save others that we worship together. May we also be vessels of life-saving welcome. Please join me in reading our chalice lighting words. They can be found on the laminated sheets in your pews. In the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, we gather this day. May the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of the holiness we seek. Each week, we recite our children's affirmation as a reminder of the most important elements of who we are. If I have any kids who would like to share this children's affirmation with me, oh, we have so many helpers and friends here this morning. Good morning. It is so good to see you all. One more. We are Unitarian Universalists, the church of the open mind, the loving heart, and the helping hands. Please rise in body or in spirit as we sing our opening hymn, number 1015 in your teal hymnal, I Know I Can. We will sing verses 1, 2, and 4.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kimberly, she, her, and I am the RE coordinator here at UUCR, and it's time for all ages. So if anybody wants to come up and sit at the front with me and Reverend Laura, you're welcome to come on up. We've got a story for you. Come on up, friends.
Maddie, Charlie, Gabby.
I'm so glad you're all here with us today. Today, we are talking about worries. Raise your hand if you have ever had a worry about something. Probably everybody. One worry, yes. The story we have is called Ruby Finds a Worry by Tom Percival. Ruby loved being Ruby. She loved to swing up high. And she loved to explore wild, faraway places. Sometimes she even went all the way to the very bottom of the garden. Ruby was perfectly happy until one day she discovered a worry. It wasn't a very big worry. In fact, it was so small that at first Ruby hardly noticed it. But then the worry started to grow. Each day it got a little bigger. It just wouldn't leave her alone. It was there at breakfast, staring at her over the cereal box, and it was there at night when she brushed her teeth. The funny thing was that no one else could see Ruby's worry, not even her teacher. So Ruby pretended she couldn't see it either. She tried to carry on as if everything was normal, but it just wasn't. The worry was always there, stopping her from doing the things she loved. Ruby wondered if the worry would ever go away. What if it didn't? What if it stayed with her forever? Ruby didn't realize it, but she was doing the worst thing you can ever do with a worry. She was worrying about it. Now the worry was enormous. It could barely fit in the kitchen at dinner time. It filled up half the school bus, and it took up a whole row in the movie theater. The worry became the only thing that Ruby could think about, and it seemed that she could never feel happy again. Then one day, something unexpected happened. Ruby noticed a boy sitting alone at the park. He looked how she felt, sad. And then she noticed something else, something hovering next to him. Could it be? A worry. It was. Ruby realized that she wasn't the only person with a worry after all. Other people had them too. She asked the boy what was on his mind, and as he told her, the strangest thing happened. The worry began to shrink. Then Ruby did the best thing you could ever do when you have a worry. She talked about it. And as the words tumbled out, Ruby's worry began to shrink until it was barely there at all. Soon both of their worries were gone. Finally, Ruby felt like herself again. Of course, that wasn't the last time she ever had a worry. Everyone gets them from time to time. But now that she knew how to get rid of them, they never hung around for long. That's the end. So, do you have a thought about the story? Well, in the story, oh, you want to clap? Yay. Thank you. So you probably noticed that Ruby felt so much better when she talked about her worries instead of keeping them inside.
I wonder if anybody has worries that have come up for them in the past week. Gavin, what worries do you have?
My worries were like if I got because my report card in school came out on Friday, so I was like really nervous like what my last grade would be.
Absolutely, we were nervous about grades and report cards. What do you think?
When I'm in my bed sleeping, I get worried about the noises.
We get worried about, yeah, we get scared and worried in our bed about noises that we can hear. That is kind of scary.
Scary noises.
Scary noises. What do you think?
I have gas.
Your MCATs? Yep, absolutely, absolutely. What do you think?
When you go to the zoo and animals crawl up to you and we get to feed them, it feels kind of nervous.
Absolutely. At the zoo, seeing animals and getting to feed them, you feel maybe a little excited and also a little bit nervous.
But once I went to the zoo, I was very happy because there was a playground.
That's excellent. So I wonder, Kimberly, have you had any worries this week in particular?
In particular this week, I'm worried about how the election went. I know that Donald Trump has said some things that have scared some people and made some people feel unsafe or unwelcome, and this feels like a big worry.
This is a really big worry. Has anybody else had this worry or thought about that this week too? Yeah, we've all had that worry this week. And you know what? Right now what I want you to do is I want you to look around, because everybody else here in this room has also had that worry. And everybody came here today so that we can talk about that worry together and be together in figuring out a way that we can move forward together to be even stronger and better together. So we are not alone with our worries. We just learned that our worries start to shrink when we share them with each other. So that's what we're here to do today.
There are a few things that really help me when I have worries. First is definitely to talk about it. Next, I make sure I know all the truth about a situation, which might involve learning new things. And the last thing that always helps me to regulate my body is singing and moving. The night after the election, I sang through the entire Wicked soundtrack while cooking a big soup. And that really helped. I'm not going to ask you to do that right now. But I will ask if you would like to stand and join me for a little movement. All right. And grown-ups, if you would like to do it from seated, you can do that too. Okay, let's start by taking a big deep breath and a big sigh out. Let's take a breath, bring our shoulders up to our ears, and then let them drop. So let's breathe in. 2 more times. 1 more. And let's give our neck a little roll, and if you want, you can take a sigh. Maybe bend your knees, roll the other way. Let's give our arms and our hands a little shake out. Feel free to make a sound. Let's give our spine a little twist side to side. Good, everybody. And let's give extra points for balancing. One leg a little shake out. Maybe you can hold your pew. Other leg a little shake out. Whole body a little wiggle. All right. And on the count of 3, we're going to sit back down. And if you would like, you can do 3 jumps with me. 1, 2, 3. Sit back down. Oh, that was great. Thanks so much. So many people joined me for that. All right. Reverend Laura asked me to bring some pom-poms today, so she's going to help me pass them out. I have one more fun thing for us to do. So this little pom-pom is your reminder that it's okay to have worries. It's important to talk about it. And if you feel worried and you don't know how to say it, you could give your little pom-pom to a parent, and I bet they could help you find the words to talk about it. Okay, so what I want us to do with our pom-pom is hold it in your hands, and there's a lot, so if anybody wants one. Hold it in both hands, make a little cup, and I want you to try your best to take a deep breath and blow on your pom-pom without blowing it out of your hands. It'll kind of dance around in your hands. You'll have a nice slow breath. Nice. And if anybody else just wants to take a slow breath, you can. Maybe you could imagine that you're blowing your worries out of your hands. Yeah, thanks everyone. And you can keep these pom-poms. And it is time for religious ed classes, so we are going to sing our students out. Thanks for listening, everybody.
we take time during our service to light our candles of community, peace, and justice. We light our red candle of community to signify our interconnection. Wherever you are in time or space, newcomer or longtime member, here in the sanctuary or joining us virtually, we light this candle, holding you in love. As we light our candle this morning, I invite you to speak aloud the name or names of people who are on your mind and heart, that we might call them fully into this space. We light our blue candles of peace for all the places worldwide where people live with the threat of war and violence. Even as our own country experiences turmoil and threat, we know that violence continues in other parts of the world. Gaza, Sudan, Ukraine, Haiti, Amsterdam, Israel, and more. And we light our yellow candle of justice. May all people everywhere live their lives in freedom. And may we each do our part in the work for justice and liberation for all in our global community. As we recommit ourselves to this work of love and justice, please voice your commitment by saying amen. From your seats, I invite you to join in singing hymn number 1002 in your teal hymnal with me. We'll pause before each verse as I share a prayer. Feel free to close your eyes throughout if you know the song or if that feels right to you. Oh, my soul, at times the challenges I face are too much. Too much illness, too much struggle, too much conflict between family and neighbors, too much suffering in the world, on our screens and out of sight. We know it is happening, and what shall we do? Can I bear the weight of it all? It is hard to be human, especially a soft-hearted human. Spirit of life, will you comfort me? Let's sing, comfort me. Comfort me. Oh, my soul, at times I feel alone, isolated, even if there are people around me. It can be hard to share my inner world with others or to let them help me. But when we sing together, I feel others' presence. And I know that we have enough caring to go around for everyone, including me. gathered community, will you sing with me? We sing, sing with me. Oh, my soul, sometimes I am just so weary. When it's hard to get out of bed in the morning, hard to face difficult tasks, hard to lift my foot or open my heart, I know I need rest and fortitude. I need to refill the well within me. And rest is a gift that I will try to allow myself to have when I need it. My needs are important, and I deserve rest. Oh, my soul, you can rest. Let us sing Rest with Me. When I have been nourished with song, I grow stronger. When I have felt the presence of caring community around me, I feel more able to use my power. When I have given my body and spirit the rest they need, I am renewed. And yes, my soul, when the light comes, mercy, the light is growing. Day by day, like a green growing thing, I am ready to rise. In power and in beauty, I return to the world and bring to it my love and my joy. We sing one final time, Rise with Me. Amen. If you have a joy or sorrow you would like to honor through lighting a silent candle, you are invited to come forward now. Our first reading comes from the poem When It Really Is Just the Wind and Not a Furious Vexation by poet Kyle Tran Meyer. In every universe in which I am alive, it is because of other people. And I don't always like them, but I love them. In every universe in which I am alive, it is less because I could fight and more because I could forgive, because I could cooperate, because I could apologize, because I could dance, because I could grow pumpkins in my backyard and leave them at my neighbor's door, asking for nothing in return. In every universe in which I am alive, I am holding a first aid kit, a solar panel, a sleeping cat, never a rusty battle axe or rocket launcher, sure, maybe sometimes a chainsaw, but only for firewood. I am holding a cooking pot, a teddy bear, a photo album, a basketball, a bouquet of flowers. Survival is not a fortress, it is a garden. Survival is not a siren, it is a symphony. And yeah, we fight for it sometimes, but survival is not the fight. It is the healing after. The soft hum of someone you trust applying the bandage. The feeling of falling asleep in a safe place.
was trying to figure out whether it's harder to sing that or to follow it with a reading. Tay can't be with us today due to illness. She'll share a reading with us soon. So our second reading comes from writer, historian, and activist Rebecca Solnit. They want you to feel powerless and to surrender and to let them trample everything, and you are not going to let them. You are not giving up, and neither am I. The fact that we cannot save everything does not mean we cannot save anything. And everything we can save is worth saving. You may need to grieve or scream or take time off, but you have a role no matter what. And right now, good friends and good principles are worth gathering in. Remember what you love, and remember what loves you. Remember in this tide of hate what love is. The pain you feel is because of what you love. The Wobblies, an international labor union, used to say, "Don't mourn, organize." But you can do both at once, and you don't have to organize right away in this moment of your furious mourning. You can be heartbroken or furious or both at once. You can scream in your car or out on a cliff. You can also get up tomorrow and water the flower pots and call someone who's upset and check your equipment for going forward. A lot of us are going to come under direct attack, and a lot of us are going to resist by building solidarity and sanctuary. Gather up your resources, the metaphysical ones that are heart and soul and care, as well as the practical ones. People kept the faith in dictatorships in South America in the 1970s and 1980s, in the East Bloc countries and the USSR. Women are protesting right now in Iran, and people there are writing poetry. There is no alternative to persevering. And that does not require you to feel good. You can keep walking whether it's sunny or raining. Take care of yourself. And remember that taking care of something else is an important part of taking care of yourself, because you are interwoven with the 10 trillion things in this single garment of destiny that has been stained and torn, but is still being woven and mended and washed.
Like you, I come here today grieving, afraid, terrified, really. Broken, rageful, despondent, searching for hope. Like you, I come here today seeking connection, seeking solidarity, seeking proof that we are not in this alone. Unlike you, I have the privilege of standing here and looking out at you, at the sea of your faces, and I see my own anger and grief and search for hope and justice in your eyes. So I encourage you to look around. Look at us, the beauty of us, the power of us as we gather in this grieving, in this breaking. Look around. Contrary to what you might think, I don't believe that now is the time for strategizing, for messages of hope, and reasons why we are going to be okay. I was in a conversation this week with some people, lovely, supportive, kind people who share my values. And in this conversation, these lovely, supportive, kind people told me all the reasons why I don't need to fear a Trump presidency. In this conversation, in what I am clear was an effort to make themselves feel better, these kind, straight, cisgender, white, middle class, able-bodied people told me that I don't need to worry about Trump actually doing the things he said he would do, that he didn't actually mean it, that he was just talking to get votes. So what I am not going to do today is I am not going to tell you to not be afraid. I am not going to tell you to not be angry or not to mourn. I almost wish we had a Unitarian Universalist ritual of rending our clothing. I want a physical symbol of the grief and the fear that so many of us feel. We have lost a loved one. We lost a democracy that we believed could be real. We have lost a country where some of us have been able to pretend that we or our loved ones are safe. So today, I will not tell you that your fear is unrealistic because I believe there is power in naming that as real in community. I believe that when we allow our emotions to be, when we allow the gravity of the situation to wash over us, it allows us to move through and reclaim our power. And so I encourage you to take your grieving seriously. It is through feeling our feelings, through acknowledging them as real, that we are able to move forward from a state of freeze to a place of organization and empowerment. Our beloved brains, our amygdalas, our limbic system, our nervous system, friends, right now they just want to be heard. Listen to your body. Listen to your emotions. They are real and valid and will provide you and us with what we need to move forward. I'm not sure if it is in spite of or because of the emotions this week, but I have used this week to be particularly loud in expressing who I am and what I know is right. This is not, as you may guess, totally unusual for me, but it has been more intentional. Many of you read the story I shared by email this week about the man on Wednesday morning at Dunkin' who saw my shirt with the trans flag and the words, "My faith is love," and opened his arms for a hug. "My kid is trans," he said, "and I am so scared." Connecting, sharing, this is a way of making our grief real and enabling us to one day connect with our power. Yesterday, I wore my Black Lives Matter shirt and rainbow earrings to CVS, where the clerk complimented them both and then said quietly, "We're sad and afraid right now, aren't we? We're sad and afraid." Naming, engaging, this is a way of making our grief real and enabling us to one day connect with our power. And then there was the PA at the orthopedist's office who looked at my Human Rights Campaign shirt, and I visibly saw him relax. "What a week," he said quietly. "We can't talk about it here, but what a week." Finding our safe people, remembering they are there, naming what is real even when we feel we shouldn't or we can't. This is how we make our grief real and enable us to one day connect with our power. Because this week, in spite of everything, we still had to vacuum and walk the dog. We still had to do the laundry and sit in the pickup line at our kids' school. We went to work and talked to clients or submitted budget reports or entered data or taught the children, because even now the world keeps moving. My religious educator colleague, C.B. Beale, wrote this week, "Democracy may be failing, but the people persist." We persisted this week. We will persist next week and the week after that. We persist because our values, our deep love for the world is a shining beacon of what we believe is possible. And even as democracy is failing, we persist with that love. Timothy Snyder is the author of a book called On Tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century. And he provides a guide for surviving and resisting authoritarianism. His first lesson is this: do not obey in advance. He talks about anticipatory obedience and describes it as a political tragedy. Most of the power of authoritarianism is freely given, he says. In times like these, individuals think ahead about what a more repressive government will want and then offer themselves without being asked. A citizen who adapts this way is teaching power what it can do. He cites examples of Nazi Germany, studies conducted by psychologists, but perhaps most importantly, he says, at the very beginning, anticipatory obedience means adapting instinctively without reflecting to a new situation. The first step, perhaps, of resisting obedience is grieving, is feeling our rage, is allowing ourselves to mourn what we have lost. Because while we mourn, we reflect. When we reflect, we have the power to reject the urge to adapt without reflection. Do not obey in advance. My hope, of course, is that those living with privileged identities grieve and then are called to disobey, whatever that means. My hope is that those living with privileged identities grieve and then live their lives reflecting on their privilege and using that power to protect those who are marginalized. This instruction is different for people who are more at risk: trans people, queer folks, immigrants, people of color. You get to decide your level of risk. Disobey by grieving and reflecting, and then you decide what will keep you and your families safe. You living your life is a form of disobedience, and we need you. I need you. If If you or any of your loved ones need help with safety-related decision-making, with accessing medical or reproductive care, with wanting to be sure you are legally married to the person you love, please come talk to me. I've been thinking a lot this week about Theodore Parker. Parker was a Unitarian minister in the Boston area, West Roxbury to be exact, in the 19th century. He was human and complicated, as we all are, and he was someone who, in some ways, did not obey. He welcomed formerly enslaved people into his congregation. He was active in the Underground Railroad and abolitionist movements. Because of the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, he knew the formerly enslaved people in his congregation were at risk. Legend has it that he preached with a pistol in the pulpit, ready to defend his congregation from enslavers. I've wondered this week what that was like, to stand up and preach the truth of love while ready to protect others to that degree. Parker's story reminds me that while we are in a unique moment in history, the response needed is not new. We can look to history and see how our history built to this moment, and we can look to our history, our American history, our Unitarian Universalist history, and see the response. We can find the people who did not obey in advance or otherwise, people who resisted authoritarianism, fought fascism, persevered, and worked for justice are just as present. It is from them that we learn and remember our strength and our resilience. Knowing that, knowing we come from centuries of heretics and rebels, from decades of fighters and warriors and pacifists, poets and storytellers working for justice, our Unitarian Universalist Association sent an email this week asking us, how will Unitarian Universalism meet this moment? Who are we called to be, and what are our deepest values and commitments compelling us to do? Perhaps the greatest gift of belonging to the rooted, dynamic, living tradition of Unitarian Universalism is knowing in our bones that we are both the inheritors of a complex and powerful historical legacy and the stewards of a future yet to be imagined. Today, as it has always been, the unwavering love at the center of our faith is our greatest balm, our strongest shield, and our fiercest power. That animating core of love. It does animate and not alienate. That animating core of love will both demand our rigorous action and offer us the wellspring of hope and courage that will equip us for the work in the times ahead. Friends, we hold our fear together. We will honor our rage and devastation and grief. We will hold one another ferociously, tenderly, faithfully. I love you. And may we love one another and ourselves with fierce grace and tender persistence as we find the next steps forward together. Amen. I invite you now to join me in a litany of solidarity. For our litany, I will name positions of privilege in our society and those who are less privileged, who we are called to be in solidarity with. If you are part of the privileged identity group, You will respond to each call for solidarity with "We pledge our support." We will begin with an example I can say with you. From those who are white, we honor people of color, Black, Latinx, Asian, and Indigenous, and we commit ourselves to acts of solidarity. If you identify as white, please respond with "We pledge our support." From those who are heterosexual or cisgender, we honor the LGBTQIA+ community and commit ourselves to acts of solidarity.
We pledge our support.
From those of us who have not been imprisoned, we honor those who have been incarcerated and we commit ourselves to acts of solidarity. We pledge our support. From those of us who are not Muslim or Jewish, we honor our Muslim and Jewish neighbors and we commit ourselves to acts of solidarity.
We pledge our support.
From those of us who are insulated from the effects of climate change, we honor those on the front lines and we commit ourselves to acts of solidarity. We pledge our support. From those of us who are men, we honor women, trans people, and genderqueer people, and we commit ourselves to acts of solidarity.
We pledge our support.
From those of us who are middle or upper income households, we honor those who struggle with poverty, and we commit ourselves to acts of solidarity. We pledge our support. For those of us who are neurotypical and of presently healthy body, we honor those who are differently abled, and we commit ourselves to acts of solidarity. We pledge our support. For those of us who have American citizenship, we honor those who are immigrants, and we commit ourselves to acts of solidarity. We pledge our support. From those of us who have not been assaulted, we honor those who are survivors, and we commit ourselves to acts of solidarity.
We pledge our support.
For all those who suffer from prejudice, poverty, violence, disaster, illness, and environmental degradation, who we have not named or perhaps do not yet know, we keep our hearts and minds open to solidarity in new ways and for new people. We pledge our support. Amen.
Each Sunday, UUCR gives away half the money we receive in the collection plate to a nonprofit organization that shares our UU values. It's a simple yet powerful way for each of us to help heal the world. Our Share of the Plate recipient for the month of November is UUSC Guest at Your Table. Guest at Your Table is an annual fundraising initiative of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. UUSC works together with an international community of over 50 grassroots partners to advance human rights and social justice in more than 20 countries. Our congregation survives and thrives through the gifts of those who call this place their spiritual home. If you are here with us in the sanctuary, you may put your gift in the plate as it goes by, or you may at some other time give a gift online or send a check. Please give as generously as you are willing and able to our Share the Plate offering to support UUSC Guest at Your Table and the mission of UUCR. If this is your first time with us, your presence is gift enough.
I've got Thank you, choir. Thank you. Thanks for your music ministry. I'm going to invite Martha Moore to come up and join me. My name is Melissa Martin. I am your Member Services and Volunteer Coordinator, and my pronouns are she and her. First of all, thank you to everyone who participated in our Kris Kringle Fair this year. If you donated, if you set up, if you cleaned up, if you shopped, if you volunteered, or if you provided leadership to the fair, thank you. A tremendous round of thanks to our repeat Kris Kringle Fair Chair, Martha has skillfully and patiently guided us once again, and please consider attending the debriefing meeting that will happen later this month at our church's Work of the Church evening to talk about this, our largest community building fundraiser. I'd like to just give Martha a second to talk about the fair success.
I had a speech planned, but Melissa took most of it. I'd like to share some good news with you this week about the fair. We are back to the same level of income that we had before COVID, so that's really exciting. We may do even better if some of you shop at the after-church sale in Fellowship Hall. There's a lot of boutique items still available, and maybe some other things, I'm not sure. And my thanks to everyone who made yesterday's Kris Kringle Fair such a resounding success. Thanks to the hard work of table leaders and other volunteers, I see so many faces here that were here helping yesterday. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to the generosity of all of those people who made donations. Thanks also to our friends and neighbors who came to enjoy shopping, live music, and delicious food. This was a good week to be working together in community to set up the fair. It takes many people to make this all come together, and I invite more of you to take on leadership roles. Please consider joining the fun. Fair wrap-up meeting and planning for next year will be on November 20th at 7:30 p.m. during one of our Work of the Church meetings. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Martha. And yesterday, Rachel Fetters ran the snack bar, and she was kind enough to serve the leftovers this morning. So please help us to finish those items up by joining us in Fellowship Hall. I wanted to share a whole bunch of stuff, but we're running long, so what I'm going to say is I'm going to send you a message. The most important thing is that we have so many opportunities to be in community together. There are so many weekday opportunities, evening opportunities, and it's a great time for us to be in connection with one another. So please take a look at our newsletter. If you need help accessing the newsletter, please let me know. If you need a new name tag, there's a way to get that as well, so please let me know. I also want to say that next Sunday, we have our November Community Chapel Sunday with a special hymn sing led by our music director, Dr. Bonnie Anderson. And this is going to be happening in lieu of our regular Sunday service at 10 a.m., and we hope you'll come and sing with us. As you can see, there's so much that we can do together. So thank you, and let me know if you need help getting engaged more deeply in our congregational life.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Martha. We are going to sing one last time, hymn number 1014 in your teal hymnal. In your hymnal, this hymn is called Standing on the Side of Love. However, the composer has since changed the song to take the ableist language away. So anywhere it says standing on the side of love, we are instead going to sing Answering the Call of Love. Let's say that together once so we remember. Answering the Call of Love. Please rise in body or in spirit. join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Beloveds, we hold our fear together. We will honor our rage and devastation and grief. We will hold one another ferociously, tenderly, faithfully. I love you, and may you love one another and yourselves with fierce grace and tender persistence as we find our way forward together. Amen.